The Geometry of a Courageous Life. Anais Nin, author, diarist, and literary icon, captured a profound psychological truth in a single sentence. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. This quote is a mirror that reflects the shape of our existence, asking, how big is your life? How rich, adventurous, fulfilling, meaningful, and deep is your experience of being alive? Nin argues that the answer depends not on external conditions, your wealth, circumstances, luck, or talent, but on courage. This single virtue, she says, determines whether life is a vast and exhilarating journey or a confined, limited space. This essay explores the deep meaning of Nin's quote, its philosophical, psychological, and practical implications. We'll examine courage as a life-expanding force, look at how fear contracts our possibilities, and explore how to live larger by cultivating courage. Understanding the quote. Life shrinks or expands. Nin suggests life is elastic, not fixed. Its dimensions are not predetermined, but responsive to something internal. A shrinking life might look like routine without meaning, avoidance of challenges, suppressed dreams, lack of intimacy, isolation. An expanding life might include growth and discovery, risk and adventure, emotional depth, bold creativity, authentic connection. In proportion to one's courage. Courage is the variable that dictates expansion or contraction. The more courage you exhibit, the more expansive your life becomes. The less you risk, the more confined you remain. Who was Anais Nin? To understand the weight of this quote, it's essential to know its author. Anais Nin, 1903 to 1977, was a French-Cuban-American writer best known for her deeply introspective diaries, which span over 60 years. She wrote boldly about creativity, sexuality, personal freedom, and the inner life. Her own life was a testament to her words. She rejected societal norms, pursued literature over safety, and engaged with life with fearless curiosity. Nin's quote is not theory, it's autobiography. The nature of courage. Courage is often misunderstood as the absence of fear. In reality, it is the decision to act in spite of fear. It is speaking up when it's uncomfortable, leaving a stable job to follow a calling, traveling alone to a new country, creating art and risking criticism, choosing love again after heartbreak. Courage is not grandiosity, it's everyday bravery in the pursuit of a larger, truer, more meaningful life. Fear as a life-constricting force. Fear is the natural adversary to courage and to expansion. Fear shrinks life by encouraging avoidance, promoting safety over authenticity, inhibiting expression, distorting perception. Fear says, don't try. Courage says, try anyway. A life dominated by fear becomes small, not because of actual threats, but because of imagined limitations. The neuroscience of courage and fear. Our brains are wired for safety. The amygdala triggers the fight-or-flight response. But in modern life, this response is often activated not by real danger, but by public speaking, change, emotional exposure, risk of failure. Studies in neuroplasticity show that we can rewire our responses over time. Courage grows through use. The more often we face fear, the more adaptable our brain becomes to handling discomfort. The courage to be seen. Authenticity requires vulnerability. To show the world your real self, your art, your truth, your feelings, is one of the bravest acts. When you say what you really want, set boundaries, admit mistakes, ask for help, share your dreams, you expand your capacity for connection, creativity, and meaning. The role of courage in growth. Growth demands stepping outside your comfort zone. Whether it's learning a skill, starting a relationship, or changing careers, growth requires risk, and risk requires courage. Without courage, we stay stuck in bad situations. Avoid learning new things. Settle for mediocrity. With courage, we evolve, reinvent ourselves, surprise ourselves. Your future self lives on the other side of your current fears. Courage and relationships. Courage expands emotional life. To love is to risk rejection, loss, vulnerability, but also to gain intimacy, belonging, joy. Relationships require courageous acts. The first hello, the difficult conversation, the forgiveness, the staying, the leaving. Courage allows emotional depth. Creativity and courage. All creative work is an act of courage. Writing a poem, painting a canvas, starting a business, designing a product. Creativity makes you visible. It invites judgment, but it also invites freedom. As Brené Brown says, there is no creativity without vulnerability, and vulnerability requires courage. Courage and career. Professional lives expand in proportion to courage, asking for a promotion, launching a business, moving to a new industry, speaking your truth in the boardroom. Without courage, careers stagnate. With courage, they flourish, not just in success, but in alignment with purpose. Stories of expansion through courage. 1. Malala Yousafzai. She spoke out for girls' education under Taliban rule and was shot. She survived and became a global advocate, Nobel Prize winner, and inspiration. Her life expanded through unimaginable courage. 2. Nelson Mandela. Imprisoned for 27 years, he emerged with forgiveness and vision. His courage expanded the political and moral life of an entire nation. 3. Frida Kahlo. Despite physical pain and personal turmoil, she painted her truth and defied artistic norms. Her courage created a lasting cultural legacy. Everyday courage. Not all courageous acts make headlines. Going to therapy, coming out, leaving a toxic relationship, starting over in your 40s, asking for what you need. These too are acts of self-expansion. Courage doesn't need to be loud, it needs to be real. Teaching courage to the next generation. Children are born with courage, but it must be nurtured. We teach courage when we encourage risk-taking over perfection. Praise effort, not just outcome. Allow mistakes and failures. Model authenticity. Raising courageous children creates adults who live bigger, freer, more meaningful lives. The spiritual dimension of courage. Many spiritual traditions place courage at the heart of growth. Christianity teaches courage to love enemies. Buddhism calls for courageous presence. Islam honors inner struggle, jihad al-nafs, as spiritual courage. Courage spiritually is the path to transcendence, expanding beyond the ego, beyond fear, toward truth. How to live with more courage. Name your fears. Clarity brings power. Take small risks daily. Courage grows incrementally. Celebrate acts of bravery. Recognize your own boldness. Surround yourself with brave people. Courage is contagious. Reframe discomfort as the cost of growth, not the signal of danger. Imagine your expanded life. What would be possible if you were braver? Stretching the edges of existence. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. Anais Nin reminds us that we are not prisoners of fate. Our experience of life is not merely dictated by what happens to us, but by how bravely we engage with what happens. Courage stretches the edges of what's possible. Each time you say yes to uncertainty, speak when silence is easier, move when stuckness feels safer. You expand your life's borders. To live fully is to live bravely. The larger your courage, the larger your life. So ask yourself, what am I avoiding out of fear? Where is my life too small? What would courage invite me to do? And then remember Nin's promise. You don't need to be fearless. You only need to be just brave enough, and life will expand to meet you.